But the dominant opinion, the opinion that I was taught, the opinion of my teachers, is that tawassul is permitted, to ask the Prophet ﷺ for intercession is permitted, things like that. That's what I was taught, and that's what I believe, and that's I think that is the strongest opinion. Tawassulu bijahi fa inna jahi 'inda Allahi 'azim. It's a weak hadith, but it's related. I mean, it's not fabricated hadith. And the hadith of Uthman ibn Hunayf is the strongest one, because that's a sahih hadith without any debate. And Ibn Taymiyyah's interpretation of it goes against all the other ulama. So with all due respect to Ibn Taymiyyah, the ulama just rejected that rejection of that hadith. So the hadith of Uthman ibn Hunayf is a sound hadith, and the Prophet taught him how to make the dua, tashri'an. He could have made the shafa'ah right there, because he asked him to intercede for me. But he told him, go do wudu. When you finish your wudu, pray the rakats, and then pray this prayer. Allahumma inni as'aluka bi nabiyyika Muhammad. I ask you through your Prophet Muhammad. And then he said, say, Ya Muhammad. I mean, he said to say that in his dua, Ya Muhammad.
How many types of tawassul are there? There are two types of tawassul, permissible and impermissible. The permissible type of tawassul is of three forms. Number 1, invoking Allah by mentioning His names and attributes. Number 2, invoking Allah by mentioning one's good deeds, as the three people who were trapped in the cave did. Number 3, the supplication of a pious Muslim who is alive and present, from whom it is hoped that his supplication will be accepted. The impermissible type of tawassul is of two types. Number 1, to ask Allah by the jar of the Prophet ﷺ, or some wali, like when it is said, Oh Allah, I ask you by the status of the Prophet ﷺ, or by the status of Hussein radiallahu anhu, and similar supplications. There is no doubt that the status of the Prophet ﷺ with Allah is indeed great, as is the status of the pious. Nevertheless, the companions who were most sincerely keen to seek all means of performing good acts did not seek tawassul in supplicating to Allah by means of the Prophet ﷺ when they were suffering from a drought, even though his grave was in their vicinity. Rather, they sought tawassul by seeking supplication of Al-Abbas radiallahu anhu while he was alive. Number 2, to ask Allah to provide one's need by swearing an oath in the name of the Prophet ﷺ, or a wali, like to say, for example, Oh Allah, I ask you by Abdul Qadir Jalani, or by the right of the Prophet Muhammad. This is not allowed, since making an oath in the name of one of the creation in order to implore another creation is not allowed. It is even more prohibited if the oath is made in the name of a creation imploring Allah. Moreover, people's obedience to Allah does not impose any rights for them upon Allah.